The Pattaya City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
All right, two things in life certain, death and taxes. You all know that. So this is without prejudice, no advice in any way. It's just for fun for the club, all right? So what is a Thailand living will? What is it? You have your last will. That's for after your death. This is prior to your death. You can put some things in place. It's not euthanasia. Like some countries, you can sign up and check in when you've had enough and then check out. That's it. It's not euthanasia. This question came up during the week. An enduring power of attorney does not register in Thailand, right? So if you're from the States or somewhere there, you would have an EPA, which if you lost it, incompetent or stroke or something like that, someone has to take care of your banking and your rental in your condo or all those sorts of things. An EPA will not cover it in Thailand. They're all separate. Your banking, right, that's prior to you having an incident. You go to the bank with your surrogate or your partner and they have their own power of attorney there. The EPA doesn't cover everything. Now, the living will save you if you ever have to use it. So I'd say 95% of the times you won't have this problem. Unnecessary pain and suffering and associated hospital bills, that's what it's designed to do. It comes under the Health Act of Thailand, Statute 12. That will only cover a few things. It's a legal document, so don't worry about that. It's basically do not resuscitate, do not intervene, and you've signed this and it's part of the system here. It's based on a couple of things, which we'll get into in a second. It's recognised by the governments and the hospitals. Hospitals also have a Hippocratic oath, so you may have an issue if you have a living will registered at the hospital, but the doctors think you might live longer. So they have the Hippocratic oath, which is do no harm, and you have a living will. So there's a little contradiction there. So you better have someone acting for you that has a little bit of strength to deal with them. Now, this part of the living will is a little bit hard to enforce because you might not be able to die at home. You might be hit on the street like Barry, something like that. So you don't have that power. The document doesn't have that power. You can tick the next box if you want some spiritual healing or a priest there or something like that. Now, this one is definitely what you want, because if they withdraw all of the parts of the living will, which is food and all that sort of thing, then you'll definitely need some painkillers. And they will no doubt increase that daily until it's bye-bye time. So it only kicks in if you're in a terminal phase of illness. So if you've got stage 4 cancer, something like that, that can be enforced. And you're suffering an incurable disease, cancer stage 4, or you've flatlined, you got hit in the street, you're brain dead, that's the other clause which kicks in. So you would tick off on your living will that you don't want a tracheotomy and all these things. They're all to keep you alive. So part of the living will as well, it has to be signed by 2 witnesses, of course, and you need a person that's going to act for you, like we call it a surrogate. So that surrogate is part of the living will, so their ID or their passport or something else says that they're going to act for you when you can't. So you're comatose in the hospital or at home or something like that. They will act for you with the doctors. Now, is an EPA, an enduring power of attorney from another country, legally enforceable? Well, you can try, but most hospitals have their own living will. And they will act as your surrogate, but I think that's a little bit... you have a conflict of interest because they're making money out of you being there and they'd like to keep you alive for as long as possible with their Hippocratic oath and things like that. So an EPA from overseas, it's not in Thai, so it's really got no power. So your proxy, who's going to act for you if they do have to act on the living will, do they know about it? Do they know what they're supposed to do? What's their responsibilities, things like that? Also, if you're in the hospital, the EPA won't do anything about your immigration and things like that. Now, you would lodge your living will at the hospital of your choice, but that's not always what happens, because if you have an accident, Thai law is that you have to be taken to the nearest hospital. That might not be your hospital. So within 72 hours, they have to stabilise you. Then you go off to the other hospital, which is normally more expensive. Now, when the emergency service unit collects you on the road or at house or something like that, these are Thai people driving their little ambulance. They don't know you've got a living will at all. They immediately start treatment, and that's when the clock starts. That's when the costs start. They'll look for your wallet, and so I suggest that you have your passport minimised, laminated, and on the other side you have in Thai, do not resuscitate. That's a catch-22 for these guys, because they will automatically go into that drive. They'll ignore your DNA until you get to the nearest hospital. Make sure your proxy knows what they're doing. If you want to put my name there, I'll do it. I've done dozens of them. Then having this living will, you can't just go to the hospital and switch things off. You have to work with the doctors, and there's your chart and what you've done for the last week, so they know whether there's some glimmer of hope that you're going to pull through, or you're gone. They'll just say, oh, okay, we'll sign this off with the proxy. So get your passport and your DNR laminated and keep it in your wallet, because they'll find it. Make sure it's in Thai. Next week's questions, just email me. I'll go back on that one. info@thai888.com. And this talk was Ren's suggestion, so a timely one, I thought. So thank you from Thai 888 Law and myself. And there's our contact. You can use your phones if you want. Take a picture. All right. So that's it. Short and sweet.
Yeah, super important question of this whole living wills in Thailand, etc. Oh, I think there might be a question, Kelvin. Susie?
Yes, hi. Thank you for that. That was great. How do we get one of these made?
Well, you can come and see me or email me, and I'll send you the draft.
Okay, cool.
And you can tick off the boxes. It will take about 5 minutes to fill out. It's not like your will. This one's just do not resuscitate, do not do this, crank up the morphine, that sort of thing. It's
Okay.
very simple to do on the spot.
And your proxy, they don't have to be in New Zealand, can they? I mean, in Thailand, can they be?
Well, if they're overseas, that's difficult because then the hospital has to talk with them.
Yeah, no, if they would come straight over.
Yeah, if they were here, that's good.
Yeah.
One thing I have to mention, like with a living will, it doesn't always work. Because I had a friend who decided to commit suicide, and I knew this was all happening, so he took a gutful of pills and he ended up on the floor, and his friends arrived and said, "Oh my God," and they took him to hospital and revived him. And I got there and there's drips and things in there, so it doesn't always work. It depends on where you are, what hospital they take you to. That's why I'm suggesting that you put this in your wallet, because they're going to look for your passport straight away. Who's this person? Here's this little laminated thing in Thai, and they'll know, oh, cool, XYZ, right? So you're trying to preempt a lot of stuff that's going to happen. Was there another question? Yeah.
Yeah.
John, Turkey Neck, how are you?
Yeah, I just wanted a real quick question. You said it requires witness signature, but does it require notarization?
No. It's done in Thai, English, all the way through. So the two witnesses at the end of that document, it's okay for Thailand, comes under the statute here. John, I was in the hairdressing yesterday and I noticed my turkey neck coming on. So, brothers in arms.
Just brief. Can you give a talk, or can you give an indication of the two wills? You mentioned it before, that your wife should make a will, or your partner, and you should make a will. That's important. Okay, I might die before my wife, but she might die before me.
Yeah, that
There's
should
a
be in
problem.
your will.
So perhaps you can give a indication next week, not now.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, one more, Mr. Hyphen.
So what you're saying is you've got it in your wallet, right, the living will, and they come along. You could be 30, 40 years old, and it says don't resuscitate.
Yeah.
And they don't resuscitate, you might live another 30 years and be okay.
Yeah, that's always the thing. I tell you, one of my friends, John, was on New Year's Eve a few years ago, had a stroke, all the rest of it, went to hospital, and he was in the EMS, the emergency service unit, and they have a machine that tells whether you're flatlining or not, whether your pulse is there, whether they have a number of indicators in that truck unless you get thrown in the back of a pickup. So if you have an emergency service unit, they should have that, and they ruled that John was brain dead. Right, so all of the things that they did, we discounted off the hospital bill. It's a tricky one, that, but good point.
We have one last question. Maybe last.
Getting overtime
You shouldn't
today.
say one last question when you're talking about living wills, should you?
No.
How do you feel about the recommendation of giving to a good friend in Pattaya, for example, all the information about your contact in the US, for example? So when something happens to you, whoever you have in the US, as an example, immediately finds out about it. So you give your information to a good friend here who, when something happens to you, they get in touch with your family and hopefully they have a living trust has been executed already.
Yeah.
You have somebody that you have.
Well, I suggest to people that in their passport, because the first thing the authorities look for is your passport. So in your passport, you should have your contact details for those people overseas or here. That's why I'm suggesting you laminate that down so that these people know who to contact, because they don't know who you are on the street. They're just guys making a buck, picking up the bodies, you know. So you need to have that contact chain there. So it's in your wallet, in your passport, and at home you've got your will and all that sort of thing. Make sure people know where it is. Okay.
Well, obviously, you chose the good topic for today.
Yeah.
So, thank Kelvin again.
Cheers.